Obviously, I started with Al Hoti in Saudi Arabia, and then 1980, I came to Bahrain to work on the Saudi-Bahrain Causeway. That was my first project. So ever since, I'm here. And then I was managing that company for until 2008.
Okay.
And at that time, I decided to have my own setup after 28 years running Al Hoti.
Right. Al Hoti Stanger, was it?
Al Hoti Stanger is in Saudi Arabia,
Okay.
but here it was called Al Hoti Analytical Services.
Okay.
It was when we started, it was a partnership between Al Hoti of Saudi Arabia and Stangers of UK.
Okay.
So that is how Al Hoti Stanger was formed in Saudi Arabia in early 70s, 1970s. So that is the setup. Harris Stangers it was established in UK since 1837. 1837. More you can say that is the first company in the world, mainly doing the quality control, testing, inspection services. So they were pioneer in that in those days. Yeah. No, what I did is basically we have started the operation in Qatar as a Qatar engineering laboratories there, and then I have registered here as the foreign branch.
I see.
So, I mean, it was easy, of course. Being Bahrain is very, friendly in those sort of things, and they promote that very well. So that is what I would say. It is generally very easy to start an industry in Bahrain because of the friendly nature. I mean, of course there will be competition. So it all depends how you tackle the situations. Especially, our is a service-oriented work, and it's highly technical.
Right.
So the technical capability is one of the most important thing. And then comes the service. You have to perform the service, depending on the client's requirement in appropriate time. That is very important because based on what we give, maybe the site is held up pending the results because we have to certify their work and then the material. So naturally, that is very critical for the construction to proceed. So time-bound service and reliability, I would say. Those are the main things. I mean, I was, for example, in Qatar. We started in 2006, actually, the first project. Even before registering the company, we got the quality control testing for the Qatar Qatalum, 2006 onwards. So we were competing with companies who was established there for 40, 50 years, and we could easily, I would say that beat them very well in such short period. Yes. So then naturally that goes into the how do you give the service to the industry. I mean, challenging situation, of course, as I said, the main thing will be to give a time-bound quality work. That is the most important thing in our line of, it is highly specialized field, quality control, geotechnical, then survey. But any project, the first thing to do is the site investigation and survey, because the whole project depends on what you are giving the first stage. So that is one of the first activity in any construction. So then when you are doing the project, during the construction of the project, you do all the quality control testing. So naturally, whatever you do, it depends on the progress of the project itself. So client cannot just have thousands of people waiting for you to finish your job. So it is very demanding sort of work and highly specialized. I mean, the very recent one, I would say Alba Port Line 6, then the airport terminal building. So we did all the studies on that and all the quality control testing, everything. So, but it's still ongoing small projects in infrastructure. I personally I was involved in most of the project. I would say, most of them from Saudi Bahrain Causeway up to all the high-rise building from Al Moed Tower onwards, because that is one of the tallest building in those days. Then Bahrain Financial Harbour buildings too. Then World Trade Center. Then the Four Seasons Hotel, City Center. Then avenues. Then the flyovers there. Then the Sheikh Khalifa Port, Sitra Bridges. We have another division which used to do the foundation for structures. So like Financial Harbour Building, Al Moed, it is actually resting on our piles, the whole structure. And World Trade Center also, we did all the piling as well as all the investigation. And so basically the whole foundation design, all the major places, airport, very beginning 1980 to 83, the first expansion. We did all the studies on that also. Then we can say Alba, as Port Line 3 to Port Line 6, all the lines from 3 onwards. I have been involved with the site investigation, all the foundation design, so naturally it is very pride.
Yes, of course.
To
You must be very proud.
the moment. I say, sometimes I used to say, when you are flying into Bahrain, you can see all these tall structures and all the bridges. I was involved with Sheikh Isa Bridge, which is the first bridge, second bridge. The first one is the very old Sheikh Ahmed Bridge. The second one is the Sheikh Isa Bridge. Then Sheikh Khalifa Bridge, the third link going to Hid area. So naturally, I was involved and all with the geotechnical and the quality control testing, everything on those sort of projects. I mean, before there, as you'll be so knowing, SEAF whole area, it was sea, the whole SEAF. The Pearl, the Farouk interchange now, that was the sea side. When in 80s I am talking about. Anything north of that is reclaimed. 83, 84 they start reclaiming that area. And the first building on that area was Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Nothing else. Then only this Seaf Mall and all, that area development afterwards, because I used to go for fishing in those areas, earlier. Then when you come to the other side, Gulf Hotel was the sea line. And then when you go to the Hid area, there was nothing. If you start from the airport, there was a road going to Asri. The whole area was on the either side was sea, both sides. So the first reclamation on that sector was for this aluminum, GISC, which in those days it is called AISCO, Arab Iron and Steel Company. So there was one causeway branch going to there. Otherwise, everything was sea in there. Then only they reclaimed that for the power station, It was, the life was very calm, I would say, because hardly anything in there, and it was very safe. There wasn't any problem at all in those days. You can just leave everything open, in 80s and all. It's absolutely very peaceful life, more peaceful life, and there wasn't much cars on the road. I mean, you cannot imagine that sort of things now. And the road network was mainly for that sort of traffic intensity only in those days. No, the best thing, of course, Bahrain has given is the opportunity to develop myself in the field, in my technical field. That is the most important thing. I would say, as a young engineer, when you come working on a project like King Fahd Causeway. That itself is, you will not get that sort of opportunity in anywhere else, I would say. So naturally from there onwards, so you can just, if you are capable, you can develop yourselves and without any sort of constraints. I would say professionally that is the most important thing. One should be able to develop, but of course you have to be capable of what you are doing. Of course, that is my place, and all my education I have been, so naturally to come to that level, the whole groundwork was done in India. So naturally, that is the most important thing. So wherever or wherever I have reached, the base is from India. No, Bahrain and India used to have a very good relation. It goes back to around 5,000 years during the Delman civilization and Indus Valley civilization. So, I know a lot of Bahraini friends. What they used to say is before the oil was found in Bahrain, lot of Bahrainis used to go to India and even work there, and then trade in terms of trade, like spices, grains, all those things in those days onwards. So India and Bahrain used to have very good relation, and it is still, and until 1967 or so something, Indian rupees was the currency here. And still, old people, they say, instead of 100 fils, they say rupee. I mean, so that is the way, and naturally, all the items used to come by dhow from India also here. And then the pearl industry, lot of pearl goes back to India. India is one of the used to be the major consumer in the pearl industry. So the relation between Bahrain and India is very cordial for 5,000 years onwards, and still it is going very well. I mean, of course, the most important thing is one has to be dedicated to the and be to the whatever they do. They have to be responsible and dedicated, hardworking. I mean, obviously, that's the most important thing I would say. They are coming from outside, from India and all, and they are coming to here to do a job and have earnings for their family. So naturally, it is very important that our name, when you say expats, I'm just talking about Indians at this moment. So naturally, our tradition, culture, so those sort of things, they are maintaining very well, and they should do that as well. In the meantime, see what are the best things available here, but to capitalize on that. That is what I would say. Most important thing will be the responsibility and the work-wise. Be dedicated to what you are doing. Then naturally the success will come. I mean, the main inspiration I would say is, of course, I want to have something to do myself. When you are with a group or with I mean, it's not that I'm saying, but when you are with partners and all, you cannot do what you want because you are working with people who is not technical, so who cannot appreciate what you are doing, because they have to know what you are doing. Very often, I was working some of the companies as partners. If you want to paint something and say, I want to use red paint, the other will say, no, why not yellow? So you cannot move, you cannot develop the way you want. So that is one of the reason I would say. Second, of course, coming to a stage where why can't I do something for my family as well? That is one of the reason in the same field, because I don't want to go into any other field than my expertise field. No meaning, it's not just to make money. That is not my motto. What we are doing, what I am doing is a service to any country, because the roads, bridges, buildings, all this. Those are the major things in any development. So, and especially foundation substructure is the most important thing there. So if the foundation is not proper, you have a lot of, if anything can happen to one particular building, we are talking about thousands of life. In the field of foundation and geotechnical, Dr. A.P.K. Tate, because what happened is my coming to Middle East is quite, you can say, unexpected. I just went to certain tender opening in Bombay, 1979 end, with one of my colleagues, just tender opening. And we went, in those days itself, the traffic in Bombay is very horrible, getting into the local train. And also we went maybe 2 or 3 hours before the tender opening. We reached there on time, the place called Nariman Point. So in the same building, that day we were just sitting and reading the newspaper, Times of India. The other friend said, "Oh, there is an interview for Saudi in this building. That is for civil." He is a mechanical engineer. He said, "Why can't you just go?" And I never had any intention to go Saudi or anything. So there were two hours gap between the tender opening and this one. So he said, "No, you just go." So when I went there, Dr. A.P.K. Tate, he was very old in those days. He was the chief geotechnical or technical manager for Standards, Harry Standards UK. So I went for the interview and he was very pleased with the interview. He said, "No, I want you to go back to Saudi and join us." I said, "I don't have any passports or anything. It was not my intention, first of all." No, we'll wait until whenever you want. So he is the one who took me to Saudi. And reaching Saudi, so he took me to various projects which he was working on those at that time. So my passion for foundation engineering was there, but he is the real one who got me into that. See, basically that started when I was a very small boy onwards. My grandfather, my mother's father, he had lot of agriculture, paddy fields and sugarcane and all kind of agriculture. So every day morning, I see maybe around 100, 150 people, workers. They will come around 6 o'clock. So by 8 o'clock, he will give everybody breakfast, special Kerala breakfast is there, which is called like a rice porridge, with certain, that is the general thing given. And then lunchtime, again, all these people will come after working for the lunch and even tea break, and I see that happening to all and these people, they come with their children. They also join them to help them in the paddy field and things like that without even going to school or things like that. And so I used to mingle with these people and whenever they have any problem, they used to even come to me and say, "Tell your grandfather to help me this and that." So those sort of things has developed me, you can see a sympathy or empathy to the people. So naturally that developed me empathy sort of situation to them. And then whenever there is a problem, I used to get involved. So this is how I developed that, seeing the miserable life of these poor people. Some, one of the workers' son, obviously he had some disease which in those days was very difficult and was crying and all the time and going to the hospital, and they didn't have the money and things. So, a small boy, I can imagine, still remember that. And then I went to my grandfather and then he arranged him to be sent to the hospital and then give the treatment. I think it almost took about 5-6 months for him to recover from there, and he was supporting them, So those sort of things happening to the poor people, and they don't know what to do, Yeah, so if he could do that because he has that capability in those days. So naturally, that is, then too many cases like that. In Bahrain, I have been involved with a lot of projects, but usually, I used to say, normally I don't want to disclose, or it is not for any publicity. I do it for my own satisfaction. I would say that is why I'm doing that, not just to. But recently, the awards ceremony, I mentioned that some of the projects in the award ceremony, that is mainly just to promote, to encourage somebody who can help the poor to go into that field. So I just mentioned that way. It is not for publicity, but just to give like an incentive or like an encouragement to those who can do that also should, if they follow. Bahrain, I am involved with lot of projects, I would
Can you
say.
tell us the fields in which you are involved in?
For example, last year, I have conducted around 300 medical camps for the laborers under ICRS. There is a under the embassy. Yeah. So they have conducted that one. Then last year for 10 people, I have paid 1 lakh rupees, which is 100,000 rupees each for the people. Some of them, their salaries are 80, BD, 100. They die here. And so it is under the embassy itself. So they all over India. So what they do is they basically give the details of their next kins, wife or children or whoever, and pay this sort of money, and I directly transfer to them to support. That is under the Embassy of India and this ICRS, that itself. Then lot of people for education, school fees. Some of them even I pay for the medical education. For example, recently there was one guy who passed away from bands. Bands. Yeah, one of the who was, he wanted to have his daughter to go for a Ayurveda medical degree. And he was looking for, because it came to me through this Pratibha. There is an organization called Pratibha. So the father was working hard and trying to borrow money for her education. She's from north of Kerala. And then he suddenly had a heart attack and died. So they came to me, and obviously I sponsor her for her 4 years education in that one. And a lot of other, naturally, lot of associations, clubs are in here. What they do is they arrange or find people who really deserve and build houses for them in India and places like that. Then a lot of Baharis also wants to go for treatment. They come, very often.
So you aid these financially, the housing
we make the houses and give it to them. I have done around 20 houses in Kerala for them, for under different, associations, or they go and find that, give all the details whether it is genuine. It should be genuine. That is the most important thing. So for needy, that one. Then the schooling. Then for community under different associations. Then I do a lot for the village here in the Barnes. Every year during the Muharram, things like that. I used to sponsor one day for the whole food for the whole villages from me.
Here in Kerala?
Yeah. Because I'm here almost 22 years in this area. Okay. So I know almost all of them there. And just, fifth day of Muharram, the whole food, they prepare it. I just give them, the money, and they buy the whole things like lamb or, they cook it and give it to everyone, and, that sort of things, and a lot of other charity works here. Yeah, we do that, because what happens is if you can do their real need and tackle that, will be more. If you give the money, they just use it for something else because of their necessity. So the real thing, if it is for the children's education, even if you give the money, if they want for something else, or all of a sudden they will still, the other activity may be pending. So if you can really go and give to the real item, that will be more. It's not only money, charity is not, or community service is not only money. Lot of other things. I mean, even some people, they don't want money, but they are in desperate conditions for various reasons. So like in medical, nobody may be here, so these people go to the hospital, see with them what are their necessities. That again is a community service.
Right.
So it is
Just give them support.
support for any reasons, whatever it be there, I would say.
Right.
Then in there, for example, in Kerala, when the flood was there, natural calamities, I have donated money for the Chief Minister's Relief Fund, almost 50,000 dinars equivalent and things like that, And then when the flood was, there is a ashram called Shivagiri. It is as, it is called mud. It is a mud, Shivagiri mud. So there are Swamis, Swamis.
Yes.
Yeah. Their main thing is they go and do a lot of charity work around for the poor people or for the needy. They themselves go. So I'm closely associated with that as well.
Okay.
And now I gave one, it's getting ready, ambulance for one of the area in Kerala where there is a lot of people died because they cannot be taken to the hospital in time. So one fully equipped ambulance I am giving to them now. I mean, you see, God has given us some opportunity, first of all, to be in that position. So my personal feeling is that, we should try to help people who is very unfortunate and who needs real help, because so we have been blessed with certain things. So it's always certain amount should go to the community. That is very important, I would say. And anybody who can do that, because we cannot just solve everybody's problem. But even if it is 5 people or 1 person, that itself is a great help. So like that, if you minded, if everybody is doing, so naturally it can solve a lot of problems of the unfortunate, really needy ones. I mean, that we should do that. I mean, helping the poor is like service to the God itself. God cannot come and give anything to the poor people. So that is, we are blessed by the God. So naturally, we should pass that. Then only the real, because once God is giving us those facilities and opportunities, I'm quite sure that is His way of thinking also, that you are going to help the others. That is what I would say to the young entrepreneurs and whoever can, whether it is whichever way. It's not only financial help, even otherwise, any other help, Some of them maybe they don't want any financial help, but they require some other assistance, It's all human beings. So that can be